Hey there, are you one of those people who would like to be wealthy but don't know how? Because I think there's a lot of people out there like that. Well, most people think that they're not wealthy because it's too hard to become wealthy. But I promise you, creating wealth has nothing to do with how easy or how hard it is. It has more to do with you. And it has more to do with your perception of the way wealth is created than it actually does the way wealth is created. Because wealth is pretty much, there are a handful of ways that pretty much anybody could create wealth, but only a few people do. So I'm gonna teach you today a concept that I call the window of wealth and the cash flow patterns of the rich, or the cash flow patterns of everybody. So what is the window of wealth? Well, if we think of what a window is something that is in a wall, usually in a house or a building, and we can either look out, we put the window there so we can see outside of the structure that we are in, or we can see inside the structure we are out of. So for the sake of this illustration, we're gonna be inside the structure, but before we even go inside the structure, let's pretend that there's an intersection. Let's pretend that there's an intersection, and this intersection, at the corner of this intersection, there's an accident. Okay, there's an accident right here at this intersection. There's somebody standing on this corner, there's somebody standing on this corner, there's somebody standing on this corner, and there's somebody standing on this corner. This person sees one thing, this person sees something else, this person sees yet something else, and this person sees yet something else. They all see the same accident. Now, I know what some of you are wondering, why did he put a dollar sign where an accident happened, right? How many of y'all were thinking that? Anybody? Was anybody thinking that? Okay, nobody, okay, a couple of, okay, here's why I put a dollar sign where an accident happened. Because if you have an accident, it's gonna cost you some money. And for most people, if they ever create any real wealth in their life, it will be by accident. Okay, so that's why I put a dollar sign there. So all of us, when we look at this intersection, we see something different. Why? Because we're all looking at it from a what? Different perspective. So I submit to you the perspective that you have when you look at a thing has more to do with what you do next than the thing itself. And it doesn't matter what the thing is. If you look at health, if you look at wealth, if you look at relationships, if you look at personal development, if you look at business development, if you look at fitness development, it doesn't really matter. When you look at something, what you see is more determined by your perspective than actual reality. See, people say, well, you create your own reality. Well, the reality is you don't. There's not a single solitary person in the history of the world who has ever created their own reality. You create your own perceptions in reality, and therefore you create your own experiences of reality, but reality is what it is. Reality is like truth. It is just what it is. And there's no your truth, my truth, his truth, her truth, their truth. No, there's just the truth, and anything that's not the truth is a lie. So we're looking at this situation, and we all see something different. So what we're gonna do is, for the sake of this illustration, we're gonna take this accident that happened and we're just gonna turn it into, in fact, what I'm gonna do with that right there is I'm gonna erase it because I don't need the perspective anymore. I think y'all understand perspective without it being written up there. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this window, this intersection, and we're gonna turn it into a window. And the window has 4 window panes. And when we look out of our experience of life, that would be the wall, into the world of finance, that would be money. And when we look at money, whether or not, how we look at the money, the angle at which we're looking at money from determines more whether or not we are rich or poor or middle class, because how we look at money will determine how we get money. And what we think of money, like what we think of, okay, I need to get some money, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go borrow it. I need to get some money, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go sell some of my time for it. I need to get some money, what am I gonna do? So we all have different things. Okay, we have different ways of looking at money. Now, this is the window of, well, wow, okay. Okay, so this is a window of wealth. But when you see what we do here, you're gonna say, wow. Because each one of these persons, depending on how they're looking at the subject of money, has a different name. This person's name is 𝐻. You say, why is his name 𝐻? Because he believes that the best way to get money is to have a job. Now, what does have a job mean? It means that I sell my time, some portion of my time, for somebody else's money. So 𝐻 thinks, well, you say, do you like your job? Well, you have to have a job, which means they don't like their job, but they're doing it because they feel like they have to, right? Now, I'm going to tell you something that's going to be shocking. And I know you're not going to believe it. Some of you are not going to believe it. Some of y'all watching on YouTube, you ain't going to believe it. But I'm going to tell you right now. Here it is. Here's the truth. You don't have to have a job. I have not had a job since 1994. I remember my last job. I remember it very well. I remember the last day at my last job. I remember getting fired right after I quit, or quitting right after I got fired. They happened so close together, I'm not even sure which one happened first. And I remember my wife and I were working at this children's home, and it was very politically, people were very politically motivated because they were trying to get promotions and stuff. I don't do that. This is what you see is what you get, right? I don't play games. I ain't running for office. I'm not going to lie to you to make you feel good. I ain't going to lie to you to keep from hurting your feelings. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear so you're not mad at me. I don't know how to do any of those things. This is just what it is, right? So some other house parents who worked there accused us of stealing some food, which both implies that I'm dishonest and stupid. Dishonest because I was stealing, stupid because I decided to steal, I was going to steal some food. Right? If I'm going to steal something, it ain't going to be no food. Right? And so the administrators called us into the office, and they're talking to us about this ridiculous accusation that is so ridiculous it does not make any sense. It's like utterly ridiculous. And so one of the administrators, his name was Stu, he said something, and my wife said, phew. He stood up. He pointed at my wife. He said, you think this is funny, Tony? You think this is funny? I stood up. I said, I tell you what. You better not holler at my wife again. I don't holler at my wife. You gonna holler at my wife? You must be some kind of out your mind. I said, you better not holler at my wife again. He said, I'm in charge of this meeting. I said, you can be in charge of the whole wide world. Holler at her again, see if we don't have some problems up in this administration building. And no, not in Christian love either. Mm-mm. No. Somebody's about to get hurt. You ain't hollering at my wife. He said, that's it, you're fired. I said, you can't fire me. I quit 20 minutes ago. Right, I had to have the upper hand. and I remember we were walking back to the cottage to pack up our stuff and move into our house that I had bought a couple years prior. And I said to my wife, I will never do this again. I will never subject you, I will never subject me to this kind of treatment ever again. I will live in a tent in the forest first. Probably not the thing you should say to your wife when you just got fired in front of her, but it was the thing that came to my mind. I just knew I was done. And I believe one of the reasons people just kind of capitulate through life is because they don't have a situation that brings so much irritation to them that they have the level of resolve that says, I will never do this again. The reason people stay at jobs they hate is because they're okay with it. They don't love it, they don't even like it. But I don't mind, well, I mind it, I'm done. I have not had a job since. Okay, so have a job. There's nothing wrong with having a job. Having a job and working to make money, to pay for things, is better than not having a job and expecting somebody else to take care of you. It's better than not having a job and feeling like you need to hit somebody else in the head and take what they worked for. It's better than not having a job and stealing, right? So, but the reason I drew 𝐻's face like that, because when I had a job, that's what my face looked like. This guy right here, he says, I hate my job. I'm going to go start a business, but he doesn't know how to start a business. So what he does is he goes and buys a job. His name is 𝐻𝐲𝐫𝐿. What's that stand for? Own a job. Now, one of my mentors a long time ago, a guy named Ben, he said, you can get a job for free. Why would you go and buy one? right? Now, a lot of people who think they're starting businesses are really buying jobs. What does that mean? They're buying a job because what they're doing is they're going out and they're spending money to start providing service to a bunch of people, but they're the one doing all the work. They have no automation and they have no delegation. So they don't have a business. If you don't have automation and you don't have delegation, you don't have a business, you have a job. You have a job that you paid for. Okay, so what does that mean, automation, delegation? Automation means that I have technology that does some of the work for me, right? Delegation means I pay other people to do some of the work for me. So automation and delegation are what buys back your time. But one of the reasons people don't have automation and delegation is because their perspective of money is off and they love the money more than they love the people. So one of the things you'll do when you begin to build a real business, when you really understand how life works with an overarching perspective, God's design, which I believe the purpose for all of our lives is creation. We're supposed to create stuff that other people value. And then connection, we're supposed to connect with other people because none of us have all of the sauce, right? So we all need each other for different aspects of life. Okay, so creation, then we need connection, and then we need contribution. We need to do something for somebody who can't do anything for us. You cannot feel fulfilled unless you have creation, connection, and contribution. You can feel partially fulfilled with only one of those, partially fulfilled with only two of those. But unless you have all three, you go through life, you don't know exactly what it is, but something's missing. And you can evaluate your life right now, and if you're feeling like, I like what I do, but I don't feel fulfilled, the reason you don't feel fulfilled, I promise you, is one of those three things is missing. Okay. So what they do, because they wanted to start a business so they could make more money and not have a boss, they traded one boss in for a whole bunch of bosses called clients, right? Right? And so now, and instead of paying anybody, you keep all the money, but if you paid somebody, that person would free up mental bandwidth for you that would give you the ability to create more offers that could benefit your business more, and then you could hire somebody else. See, here's what we should all be seeking to do. I'm gonna tell you something that's really hard for me to wrap my mind around. There are people in the world who love doing the aspects of your business that you hate doing, right? It's hard to imagine that the stuff that I hate, that somebody would love it. But there are people who like the stuff that it makes me like, it makes me want to pull my eyelashes out in handfuls, right? There are people who are like, oh no, that's my jam, I love that. I'm like, right? So I don't. And I would rather pay somebody to do it, an amount of money that makes them happy. I don't have to do it, now I'm happy. Everybody wins. It still gets done for my clients, they're happy, everybody wins, right? So because I love the people that I hire more than I love the money that I pay them, I'm gonna hire good people and pay them well. Does that make sense? Because I love the people that I serve, that are people who buy things from me, I'm gonna make sure that I pay for enough. I'm gonna do all the stuff that only I can do, then I'm gonna pay for enough automation, enough delegation to make sure the stuff that I do for them is delivered to them in a way that's satisfying to them. Does that make sense? Is what I'm saying, okay, so cool. So you wanna, look, when you have a job and own a job, over here, the amount of money you make is very, very limited. Over here, this person has no time and no money. Because usually they negotiate an agreement with their employer to make just a little bit less money than it takes for them to survive. And the boss generally pays them just enough to keep them from quitting. Can I get a witness? Okay, this person over here, they have way more money. They have money, but they have no time. This person over here has less time than this person over here. This person has less time than this person. Why? Because they are doing all the work. They're the chief cook and bottle washer, hence they are the chief cook and bottleneck. Now, this guy right here, this guy's name is OZ. OZ, what's that stand for? Own a system. It could be OSS, it could be OS. Own some systems. What is a system? A system is, it's a way of doing something in the most efficient and synergistic manner. What is a system? A system is leverage. And the beautiful thing about leverage is this. You can always make up and leverage what you lack in ability. Isn't that exciting? Like, I don't have to be the best at everything because I can leverage some of the money I make and pay somebody who's good at what I'm bad at, and everybody wins. So, owning systems has to do with owning technology systems and owning delegation systems. So, automation systems, delegation systems. And the more of my business I can delegate and automate, then the more money I can make, and now I have a whole lot of money and a whole lot of time. Sign me up for that. I am telling you, when you decide this is the person I'm going to be, everything in your life changes. I'm a person who owns systems. We have systems for everything I do. So, I do have time. So we have systems for everything that I do. So I already know I love to learn stuff. But I know I'm not the only person in the world who loves to learn stuff. Just so happens that the other side of that is I love to teach stuff. There's a whole bunch of folk who would love to learn the stuff I've learned to teach. So like, maybe I should make something for them. So now what I do is we have this YouTube channel. And I make sure, like we are almost religious about the idea that we make sure we give our audience valuable lessons daily. What? Now, if I would have started with that as an objective, I wouldn't have started. Keeping it real. I wouldn't have started. Like when I started my YouTube, like when I started becoming intentional about YouTube April 1st last year, I didn't say, we're gonna do a YouTube video every day. No, I had to work my way up to that. I had to figure out how to do one a week. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, we're gonna do one a week. I think I can do one a week, right? And so we started doing one a week, and then we started doing another one, and so the first month we actually did 8 videos. I'm like, okay, we did 8 videos. Okay, well, that wasn't terrible. We'll do it again. And so, like right now, our Bible study starts in about 15 minutes, but I invite my friends who come to our Bible study, hey, y'all wanna come watch me record some videos? Y'all win, because I teach y'all stuff that I know, and I win because I have an audience to talk to and not just a camera, because when I'm just talking to a camera, my tongue gets stuck in my mouth and don't let the words come out and like that. So that's what happens when I just try to talk in front of a camera. It just doesn't work. So I need to be looking at some eyeballs so I can feel like I'm teaching somebody, not just talking about some stuff. Because then while I'm talking to people, I can look in their eyes and I can see when they're a little confused about something I said, and then I can clarify. Or I can look in their eyes when they think I said something funny, and then I can really like turn it up. Okay, so I all that right there. So I win because I got somebody to talk to. It makes my content better. People on YouTube win-ish because like I look at the camera very seldom. I'm looking at y'all most of the time, and most people, when you're doing a YouTube video, you should look at the camera. Okay, I know there's a lot of shoulds out there in the world, but I don't do them. So I'm just gonna talk to the people who are here, and every now and then I'll look up at the camera and let y'all know, I remembered you're here, okay? Gotcha. And so we decided I'm gonna create a YouTube video every day. We're gonna produce a YouTube video every day. So what do? On Wednesdays and Fridays, we do 2 videos a day. We do live on Wednesday, and then we do a recorded. So now we release 3 live videos a week. So every month, is that right? No, we release 3 a week. So every week we get ahead by 1 video. Why? I don't know about y'all, but I like to take vacation sometime, right? So if I'm gonna take vacation, I need to get ahead of the game, right? And so that's what I mean by owning a system. So what I do is I'll stand up here and run my mouth for an hour or 30 minutes or whatever, and then Larry's back there pushing buttons to make all these cameras do what all they're supposed to do. And then Karina will create a thumbnail, and Mariah will do some editing, and Jose's making videos and getting shots and doing stuff, and they're all doing all that stuff they know how to do. And then we all go to our respective places. I'll go study, they'll go edit and do stuff, and then Zach will post the link for the live video, the title for the live video, and then they'll connect and push buttons and stuff will go where it's supposed to go. See, how was that for technical? That was very detailed. Okay, so you want to own systems. When you own systems, what happens is you start making so much money, you have to do something with it. This guy's name is SMS. That stands for Sow Money Seeds. You're going to take some of this money you're making and you're going to invest it into things that make more money. Now, I want you to remember what I just said. You're going to take some of the money. So here's how people exist. They go to work and sell their time so they can pay their bills. They hate going to work selling their time so they can pay their bills, so they go buy a job, right? Oh, I changed colors, but it's okay. So they go buy a job, and when they buy a job, they buy that job, and they work harder, longer hours, never get to see their family, but they make more money. Okay, so now what happens next? Well, when you move up here to start building systems so that you can create wealth. Here's the problem, though. Here's the challenge that most people never get past. When you first move into this arena and you start building systems, you don't make any money while the systems are being built. And the cultural hypnotic societal mechanism through go to work, go to school, study hard, get good grades so you can graduate, get a good job with a good company, and they'll pay you, and then when you retire, they'll take care of you. They've gotten us so addicted to a paycheck that addiction to getting paid once a week keeps us from doing this, because we might have to work on this for a whole month or 2 months or 6 months or a year. Jeff Bezos worked on Amazon for 10 years, losing money every year for 10 years before he became one of the richest people in the world. Elon Musk literally was 1 day from filing bankruptcy when he closed his government contract deal for the thing that saved their company back in whatever year that was. Because when you're building systems, they don't make money. So that's why it's important for a lot of people to keep your job while you build your business. That's why I say nothing will inspire you to build a business that you love like having a job that you hate. Okay, so that's the window of wealth. What are the cash flow patterns of the rich? So if you want to build wealth, the scripture says a rich man's wealth is his strong city, but the destruction of the poor is their poverty. So this is a financial house. This is your house of finance. You could write my house of finance, right? Okay. This is the income window. This is the IPA window. This is the WRL window. And this is the outgo window. So this is the income window, this is the outgo window. Now, this is the truth. If you're going to build your finances, you need to build it on financial truth. This is asset protection. You need to have some things in place to protect your assets. I don't have time to teach you in the detail what all those are. But most people, their income, where does their income come into their house? It comes into their income window. The income comes in their income window from what? From their job. That's how most people make money. That's the only way most people make money, okay? So you got income that comes into your window. I submit to you that whether you're rich, poor, or middle class has more to do with your perspective and your perception than how much money you make. I know for a fact, and I'm going to make a really bold statement here. If I worked at McDonald's making minimum wage, I could become a millionaire. Why? Because whether or not you're rich, poor, or middle class has less to do with how much money you make than it does what you do with money when you make it. If you learn to manage and move money better, if you learn to make your cash flow in the right directions, then you can create wealth. So here's what most people do. Okay, so income comes into their house. This is what poor people do. They take all the income that comes into their house and they send it out of their house in the form of bills. They make money for the purpose of paying bills. They believe the purpose of money is paying bills. And so what they do is they make money so they can pay their bills. And after they're done paying their bills, how much money do they have left? None. And so what do? They go back to work again, make enough money to pay their bills. And so they're literally working to exist. Poor people think the primary purpose of money is bills. Bills, to me, bills are like, they're just there. How much does it cost? I don't know. How much? Dude called me the other day. Mr. Golden, we want to talk to you about how much money you can save on your electric bill, and you can get solar panels in the state of Florida and blah, 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 and we could save you $500 to $2,000 a year. Just the back and forth that we've had with these voicemail messages and you come into my house without me knowing it and you calling me when I didn't ask you to call me, just the conversations that we've had have already cost me more than $2,000. So I called the dude back and I said, look, dude, I love salespeople. I would love to sit down and listen to your presentation. I am not your customer. I don't know how much my electric bill is. I don't care. Here's what I know. I have to have electricity, and I'm gonna pay for it. That's all I know. My electric bill's on auto pay. Like, if somebody said, I'm gonna give you $400 billion to tell me how much your last electric bill was, they'd have to keep the money. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's like, how much rubber did the tire of your car wear off on the way to work this morning? It doesn't matter. What's the price of gas? I don't know. I don't care. I just know if I don't put gas in it, I'm riding a bicycle. Right? Okay, y'all tracking? So, poor people. Middle-class people think the primary purpose of money is to pay their bills on time and maintain good credit. So what they do is they buy wealth-reducing liabilities, buy a bunch of stuff that they don't really need. They can't really afford it, so they buy it on credit. But they look like they're rich, right? And so the thing that keeps a lot of people from getting rich is trying to look like they're rich before they get rich. I'd rather be rich and look poor than be poor and look rich. That's kind of cray-cray. Being rich and looking poor is cool, because then you can do whatever you want to do, and nobody even knows. Nobody, you just look like a regular dude, right? But when you look rich and you broke, you look cool all in front of everybody on the gram. You on the gram, you take them. But then when you go home, you all stressed out and having panic attacks because you can't pay your light bill. Okay? So then what happens is, so they buy all these wealth-reducing liabilities, and they take the money that they could have used to create wealth, and they send it out the outgo window in the form of liabilities. And the liabilities cost middle-class people everything. When I borrow money to buy a car, I don't borrow money to buy a car because I can't pay cash for the car. I borrow money to buy a car because the bank will loan me their money cheaper than I can use mine. Just my money yesterday made me $25,000. And I'm not bragging, I'm giving you an example. My money made me $25,000 yesterday. Now, it doesn't always make me $25,000. Let's say my money makes me $25,000 once a month. That turns into whatever that turns into the course of a year, like just under $300,000. Okay. If I want to buy a $100,000 car, and the bank will loan me the money to buy that car at 4%, it's going to cost me $4%. It's going to cost me $4,000 a year in interest. If I keep that loan for 5 years, it's going to cost me $20,000 in 5 years that I pay in interest. But if I take $100,000 out of my account, and let's say, and that's how much, by the way, that's $100,000 yesterday made me $22,500, and then another $15,000 account made me another $2,500. Okay, so, but $100,000 yesterday made me $22,000. Let's say that can happen once a month. So instead of it costing me $4,000 a year, I take my $100,000 out. Now I can't make $22,000 a month off that money, right? And so whatever $22,000 a month is times 12 is a lot. It costs me over $100,000 to use my money to buy a car instead of borrowing money from the bank. When I buy a house, I borrow money to buy the house because the bank will loan me their money cheaper than I can use my own. But I understand how to read the money. I'm not borrowing money because I need to borrow the money. The stuff that I borrow money for, I can pay cash for. I just don't because it doesn't make sense for me to do that. Are y'all tracking? Why? Because back over here to this, because this money I put in here, and this money I put into my income producing asset, okay, into my money system, into my sow money seeds into income producing assets. Here's what rich people do with money. We do this. We take money. This is what rich people do. We take our money, we put it in the IPA window. What's IPA stand for? Income producing asset. What's an income producing asset? My house in Pennsylvania that's an Airbnb. That's an income producing asset, right? This building is an income producing asset. My mortgage on this building is $5,000 a month. I shoot YouTube videos here. YouTube pays me between $40,000 and $50,000 a month. That's how much they deposit into my checking account on the 21st of every month. Somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000 a month. I'm not bragging. There are YouTube channels that make way more than that. That's not my point. My point is this building is an income-producing asset for me, right? My money in the market is an income-producing asset. Like once I get off of here, before I go live on YouTube, I'm going to do a trade. That trade will probably make me tens of thousands of dollars today. Why? Because I put money over here. Now watch what happens. For poor people, the biggest window in their house is this window, their outgo window. For middle-class people, the biggest window in their house is their wealth-reducing liabilities window. For rich people, our biggest window in our house is our income-producing assets window. Because what happens when I put this money over here, if I keep putting money over here, eventually, guess what happens? This now starts putting money back over here. But watch this. This is where it gets really cool. The income producing asset window puts money back in my income window, but it also pays my bills. And it also buys my wealth reducing liabilities. So this window pays for everything in my life. That's why I'm not afraid to borrow money, because I never have to pay it back. You say you never have to pay it back? No, my income producing asset window pays it back. So I borrow the money, I borrowed money to build my business, I let the business pay off the debt. This is the window of wealth and the cash flow patterns of the rich. When you understand, when you shift your focus from this window to this window, go home and draw the same thing out. Write down all of the income producing assets you have in your, like I got YouTube, I got options, I got Airbnb, those are just some of the ones I'm thinking. Plus I got technology, plus I have a team, I have a whole team of people that I pay. I got all this stuff making me money. I don't have to do anything. And then guess what? All the people see me on YouTube. Then they come and they buy stuff from me just because they want to know more faster than I'm teaching it on YouTube. I'm giving them stuff every day. They're like, that ain't fast enough. I gotta go buy something from him. I'm telling you, when you will shift your focus to your income producing asset window, it will change your life for the rest of your life.